Welcome to Teams Tuesday. It's May the 18th, 2021. It's 12:15 in New York, 5:15 in London, 10:45 in Mumbai. We have a great speaker, Jeff Winginter from California, who's discussing what Project Cortex means to your organization. I'm your host, Peter Ward from New York City. Stay tuned for the next 45 minutes. It's Teams Tuesday.
Thank you. Let me put, and I just want to make sure you guys could see this.
Yeah, well, I can see the content. Yep, everything you need to know about a migration and transformation.
Yep. You know, migrations, it's a pain in the butt, to be honest with you, at the end of the day, right? So I don't really care what the platform is. I wanted to make this as simple as possible so people could see how we do this thing. So the first thing we do is we figure out what sources are we. I equate this to like moving your house, right? When you move your house, you're probably going to move your, all the bedrooms, your garage, your living room, and all that jazz. So that's the sources. And then the platform is, right, the truck, the movers, how are we going to get it there, right? We're going to break down our bed frame. We're going to break down the dining room table. So we do that with the data, right? We collect it, and then we bring it into this sort of unified data model, and the platform, whatever it is, we analyze it, and then we really, you see on the bottom of the screen, you can't really read it to continuous reporting and redirecting, right? And then figure out where are we putting it. Once we get to the new house, are we still going to put the bedroom set in the bedroom? Of course you are. So we want to make sure that that bed is put together the exact same way that it was put together before you left. So that's how I equate migrating from one platform to another. And this is just, it's just a very busy slide, and I'll be able to share a lot of these with the audience members, right? ECM, it's at a crossroads. It's no longer, if you're going to migrate, it's when. I mean, I don't know if you remember, Peter, but when Microsoft announced, hey, we've got this thing called Azure, and guess what? You guys are going to have to move there. And people are like, yeah, right. We are never moving, right? So, and now, they went kicking and screaming, and I think it's like 50-60% of Microsoft's clients now are in the cloud or have some type of hybrid environment. So building that modern content, having that roadmap from moving to M365, it's different today than it was a long time ago, right? It's not just the SharePoint content. I put in here, IT managers and business stakeholders must consider how to migrate content from multiple workloads. And that's literally just the start of it. So the other thing that we have to think about is this is for building a compliant user-centric M365 strategy, right? So you get your roadmap in place, infrastructure, migrate the legacy ECM systems, get rid of the outdated applications, whether it's SharePoint on-prem or, your different file servers, consolidate your collaboration, and really, I talk about the future of work. The future of work and this digital transformation starts with this migration strategy. So I put together kind of 6 things to sort of think about when you're moving. Having that identity and access management, it's really where it all starts, right? So if you don't, that whole thing, if you plan to fail, if you fail to plan, make sure you plan, okay? What's your onboarding plan, right? Getting that identity access, it should be the core of your strategy, sort of like the G word. People don't talk about it, but it's on everyone's mind. That governance, what type of governance are we going to have? This is literally step 1, that identity and access management. Mail-in security, right? All you hear about is Microsoft spending, they've got that budget of $1 billion on cybersecurity. And today, industry estimates of companies' annual investments are around $2 billion. So having that zero trust mindset, Microsoft is expanding how they deliver this infrastructure and service to organizations. It's a huge, huge landscape to cover, but it's something that they have to have in place before we start moving stuff. Again, it's sort of like that moving truck that all the stuff is in the truck, but they forget to close the door and everything starts falling out. So we have to make sure that when we load up the truck, that everything in there is secure. It went through the process of making sure that it's been a checklist on it, right? So you want to inventory everything. It's the exact same thing when you're moving your data. You got to inventory it. Which brings me to the file servers, right? When you're moving from a file share environment to the cloud, having that team strategy is a ginormous role in the decision. So much with Microsoft and Office 365, you have it, but you don't use it, just like on your cell phone. So think about the idea of moving these documents to OneDrive. I love having my files on my computer. So having them on my computer basically means that it's a lot easier for me to access. But guess what? If your OneDrive is set up the right way, it's just as easy getting your files from OneDrive as it is from your computer. So having that structured policy to facilitate, accelerate this collaboration, it'll really help deliver the absolute best user experience. This idea of having a single silo for your ECM, enterprise content management today, is that most organizations have content from multiple repositories based on the content's purpose, use, and regulatory requirements. This idea of lifting and shifting is a mistake. That's why so many organizations run into migration problems. And then optimization, right? It's fluctuated so much over the years. It's basically like a live action sport. I love that. How are you preparing? How are people accessing the information today? And how will this change after the migration? So getting that data visualization, data-driven business rules, create every single exception, right? There's nothing worse. You're in the middle of, your move and you're like, do I go to the left or do I go to the right? Google Maps they're just telling me go straight, but it's a left or a right and you don't know. So make sure that you have an exception for every single potential roadblock that might be in the way. Right, so here's the process. Your source, so install the software, configure the software and connectors, extract the custom metadata, investigate target data model. And then once it's in that, you store the data in that uniform data model, use insights to make data-driven decisions, capture rules, decisions, and really get that playbook. And then see the impact of the migration design before migrating, implement the migration design, transformation, and migration workflow. Run, QA test, iterate. So I'm going to run through this a little bit fast. This is what I've seen based upon best practices, right? So this iterative process to get the value, adding the business rules and providing added value per business unit. So central setup architecture, central transformation, reporting that setup. And then local execution, allowing for business unit specific transformation intelligence. So let me show you this video now. Now I'm going to show you a little video.
To SharePoint and OneDrive. First, we will extract the data from the source system Open Text Content Server.
Let me just tell you, the demo I decided to do was Open Text to SharePoint Online, which is a very, very common one. But to be honest with you and everyone that's listening, this could be Documentum, it could be Alfresco, it could be anything. So I just happen to choose OpenText.
Okay.
For 10, using our migration tool, and store this data in our unified data model database, MongoDB. After the extraction, we will analyze and transform the data using Cilio Insights. We are going to show the dashboards that we use to determine the business rules. Once those are set, we can apply the transformations in our UDM database. And afterwards, we're going to load everything into SharePoint. On the left side of the screen, you can see the Xil IDE. This is the software we use for the entire migration. In this demo, we're going to run the extract, transform, and load functions, which we select here. And on the right side of the screen, you can see the user interface for Open Text Content Server with some folders and files. We browse through it and see regular folders and documents, but also compound documents, projects, and workflows. Different content types which are specific to open text, but we want to take with us to SharePoint. Here we can also find personal workspace with some folders, files, and we also see the tasks from the workflows that are assigned to this user. We want to migrate this content to the OneDrive for this particular user. So now we're ready to start the extraction by pressing the play button. The console log shows feedback on the extraction. When we go to our database, we see that there is a new collection with documents that is being filled as we speak. It's nicely arranged with decorators. All the information we extract is stored in the original folder, and the Modify folder is where we can change things if that is needed for the migrations. There's also a migration folder where every change is logged. Next up is the analysis of the extracted data, for which we use Xilio Insights. This is the first dashboard of Xilio Insight that gives a general overview of the 92 documents we have extracted. We click on File Categories to see what kind of documents we have, their creation date, the extensions, and information about the size of the folders and where all these documents live. Another cool feature of Insights is the possibility to filter. For instance, only view the text files. For this demo, we decided not to migrate these text files. This is our first business rule. We also see that the extracted data contains some executables, JavaScript files in this case, which is the second business rule, no executables. The next dashboard we'd like to show you is the duplicate dashboard. That shows all the duplicates, their location, duplicates in the same folder, and the total size of the duplicates, a perfect starting point to search for unnecessary content. This dashboard shows the active content. You can see, for example, when documents were last accessed. In this dashboard, you can filter on documents that haven't been accessed for a certain amount of time. This dashboard gives information about the folders. We see that there are 30 folders in total, and here we can see which ones have children and which are empty. These are the most frequent folder names in our data set, and right now we're going to see which ones are empty. We excluded these from the migration, our third business rule. We also have different versions in our data set, so we can see which documents are versioned. We showed you the workflows inside of the OpenText Content Server 10. We can see that there are 3 workflows. Those 3 workflows have been initiated 9 times in a total of 52 steps. And we can also see all the attached documents to each instance. We can filter on one of the workflows and zoom in on one of the instances to see extra data about this step of the workflow instance. On the right side of the dashboards, we can also filter on all the documents attached to a workflow or instance. The Audits dashboards gives an overview of the entire audit trail of the system, 17,000 in total. On the right, you can see all the different events, and if you click on them, you can see how many times they happened, and the different performers. We can also zoom in on a specific document to see its entire audit trail. The business rules we created based on Xilio Insights are: first, no text files to the target system. Second, no executables to the target system. Third, no empty folders to the target system. Now, we will run the transformation script so all data is ready to move to the target system. While it is running, the database on the right side is being updated in real time. It's time for the final step of the migration, the load. We will use the XIL IDE again to start on the import. On the right side, you can see that folders and documents are being created in SharePoint Online. Let's take a look at the workflows. We see there's a workflow application with different instances and the related documents. Let's also take a look at the OneDrive, which was the personal workspace in OpenText. All files and folders have been migrated to this person's OneDrive. And finally, you can see the report of the migration in Excel. It shows information about the entire ETL process of a single document, the source path before the extract, whether or not a folder or document was migrated, to which department, and also the new target path in SharePoint.
All right, so let me just wrap this up, Peter. So, you know, the planning process to migrate M365, still have to have that at different stages. You need to sort of plan it out. I know organizations spend years on this stuff. Hey, it's coming, and then when it's happening, people are like, oh my God, we just planned a year, and it's, you know, what do we forget? So to me, one of my favorite things is, you know, this first one, this identity and access management. I talked about it earlier. And then what are we going to do with the old stuff? Do we keep it? Do we not keep it? So having that strategy around it, and I call it the mindset for the modern workplace.
Oh, interesting.
And there you go. I guess our thing are these robots. Oh, Peter, I don't know if anyone is coming down to Orlando. We're going to be raffling off an all-access pass to the Microsoft Collaboration Conference down in Orlando. It's the first week in June.
I was about to say, that's about 6 weeks away. No, that's about 2 weeks away, actually, isn't it?
Yeah. It's 2 weeks away. Hit me up if anyone is interested. I don't know if she put it up on the website now, but we're giving out one full pass, in person or online. I don't know if they're probably charging online too, because there's so much content. So hit me up and let me see if I could hook someone up.
Understood. All right. Okay, it's about 6 minutes left. If you've got any questions, feel free to put them into the chat. That'd be quite cool. So basically, this tool you got, Zilio thing, and you're basically, it's really a migration tool from one source all into SharePoint.
Correct.
I see. Do you want to talk about how does the pricing model work?
It really depends upon how much data is being moved over. There's a licensing fee, and then based upon how long you need it for, a monthly licensing, and then you've got, you know, again, even a company like Soho, companies like Protiviti, they're just like, you know what, Jeff, you guys just do it. Here's the services number. It's going to take us. The average price for everything for a standard migration, what I've been seeing is about $50,000.
All right, so you're going for the big, massive, complicated 10,000 employees kind of job.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, I just did one for 500 employees. They had so much freaking data all over the place from a ton of different sources. You know, it really just wasn't there.
And I'm going to wrap up. Jeff, thank you very much. Very good to see you. I will say goodbye. Thanks, Jeff. And thanks for everyone attending the meetup. I hope you find it educational. And we'll be putting these videos on our LinkedIn profile and pushing this out. Okay, thanks, Jeff.